Hi, a huge welcome to Steve's Kitchen. Love cookies, or really they are Lebkuchen. These are something from my childhood. I had a lot of German influences when I was younger, and if you've ever had a Lebkuchen before, you know they're fantastic to make. Now they're generally something for the holidays, Christmas and that, but what a perfect thing for Valentine's, something to make to get you away from that commercial aspect, something you can make for your loved one. I'm going to simplify the recipe a little bit, so any of those recipe police out there, please forgive me. I'm not using all the ingredients because we want it nice and simple, something you can make at home. Let's get on and make love cookies. Now, Lebkuchen are like a honey spiced infused gingerbread. We're going to take some honey, about 275 grams or 10 ounces, pop it into a heavy based saucepan. We're going to start by making a thick sweet syrup. Now in with our honey, we want 100 grams, about 3.5 ounces of salted butter, and 100 grams, 3.5 ounces of just granulated sugar. Now this is a spice cookie, so get a lovely mixed spice, a pie spice. You can use a pumpkin spice or a Christmas spice of any sort. I'm going to put 1.5 tablespoons. Want lots of flavour in there. And some chocolatey goodness. I'm going to put 2.5 tablespoons of cocoa in there as well, unsweetened cocoa. Then I want to take this over to the stove, and we're just going to heat this until all the sugars have dissolved. Now after a few minutes, the syrup will become less gritty. We're going to take it off the heat now. And whilst that cools down a little bit, let's concentrate on our dry ingredients. Now I've got 600 grams, that's about 1 pound and 5 ounces of all-purpose flour in a mixing bowl. And I'm going to add into that some baking powder, double action baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons. Just pop that in there. Now we're not going to sieve this, but I am going to whisk it just to get it nice and smooth. And I'll just pop 1/4 teaspoon of salt in there as well. Now the traditional cookies have potash in them as well, but I'm making this as simple as possible. We have 1 fresh egg. Let's just break that into our mix. And I'm just going to mix the egg in as well a little bit. Now I'm happy for this syrup to be warm, but I don't want it too hot, so I'm just going to let that cool down for about 5 minutes. Now once that syrup has cooled down a little bit, I'm just going to pour it in with my dry ingredients. And then what we want to start doing is using just a paddle or spoon, mix the ingredients together until we've got something we can handle. My, this is smelling so good. I'm actually going to start getting that off of the paddle now. And then we can get our hands in here and just start to draw the dough together. Now it very quickly starts to bind. You could do this in the stand mixer if you were feeling particularly lazy, but it really comes together quite easily. I'm just going to pop that out onto my work counter. And then I just want to continue to mix this dough until I get an even consistency. Don't be tempted to overwork it, it'll just become tough. Now you're going to end up with a fairly dry cookie dough like this. What we want to do now is wrap this. So I've wrapped this now in some plastic wrap. Ideally, we want to leave this overnight, even a couple of days will do, to enrich the dough and get it lovely and silky and smooth. Now I left this overnight and I've just divided it in half. I'm going to work with half, but look how lovely and smooth the dough is now. Now come down here. I'm just going to pop that aside. This is going to be a love cookie heart. So get yourself a piece of card, just fold it in half. And what you're just going to do is draw a heart, just roughly, it doesn't have to be perfect, on the half of the card here. Take yourself a pair of scissors and just cut a little bit on the outside of that line. Then when we unfold it, you've got a card heart. Let's just pop that aside. Bring my dough over onto my counter, a little bit of flour, just dust some flour down there. And then what we're going to do is roll this out. It wants to be a fairly thick cookie dough, so I'm going for about 1/2 inch. So we're just rolling this out. Just ease the sides together as you need, but we are only making 1 cookie out of this. Pop your heart down onto your cookie dough, and then let's take a sharp knife and let's just cut the shape out. So I'll pull those excess pieces aside. Now these little bits of cookie you can mess around with, make little hearts, but this is the one we are looking for. Now what we're just going to do is lift the heart up gently and place it onto some baking paper on a cookie tray. Now we're going to want a couple of holes just either side of the heart to pop some ribbon in. So just use any round object you can get your hand onto. Cut 2 little holes. Now I've preheated the oven to 160 degrees Celsius, that's 325 Fahrenheit. And we're going to bake those for about 15 minutes in the oven. Just keep an eye on them. You want a nice golden brown, but not too dark. Now when those cookies come out of the oven, we're going to want royal icing to decorate these. Now I've got a video on my channel, you can get across and check that out. I won't make it here because it'll make the video too long. So come and take a look. I've taken them out of the oven. You'll see they're really hot at the moment, some little hearts as well. What you need to do is lay that down on the side and let it completely cool down before we decorate them. So you can see here that I've mixed up a royal icing, a fairly stiff one. Royal icing, by the way, is just egg whites and powdered sugar. I'm going to put some of this into a piping bag, and I've got a little star nozzle. Now we get and decorate our cookie. Here is where you just want to get creative. We're going to go around the outside. I'm probably going to put a little spike all the way around the outside of this cookie. Now I've turned the heart upside down because I can't write upside down for you. And I'm just going to use a slightly smaller nozzle, and then you want to write on there. I'm going for the traditional I love you. Now that is a crazy random design, but I'm doing it on the fly, giving you an idea. Just experiment, let this completely dry. My love cookie has set, or at least the icing has set. Now, you remember those holes that we made just there? I have got a piece of ribbon, just a length of ribbon, probably about a couple of feet. And what we're going to do is just pop the ribbon through the holes from the front, out of the back. Just pull that out. We'll take the other end and put it through that side. Pull that up like that. Take the two ends of your ribbon and just tie a knot in it. And then we can pull that back through, and there you have it. And there is our love cookie. Now come on, if you gave one of these to your loved one on Valentine's, they would know you've made the effort. A lot of fun. It's not exactly a Lebkuchen, it's a simplified version. I do understand that, but quite easy to make. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please share the love, give the thumbs up. And if you make one of these, please share a copy of or photograph of it back to me on one of the social medias. I'd love to see what you're up to. Be good. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Now, love cookies are a great way to go this Valentine, but there are other Valentine recipes, and I'll leave a link to my Valentine playlist up there and a link to another video. Don't forget, I love to hear your comments. Take care of yourselves, be good, see you next time.